Chief White, thank you for that introduction. And every day you and your fellow officers put on that shield, walk out the door, and your families worry about receiving that phone call. But thank you for your service, and I mean this sincerely, your sacrifice, and sacrifice of that of your families, not just you, your families as well. And thanks to the law enforcement and community leaders here today who have helped bring down violent crime rates in their cities to historic lows. That's right. We're about to talk about what's going to happen now. You just heard from the chief, and the salute these cities are making historic progress here. Last year, the United States had one of the lowest rates of all violent crimes in more than 50 years. Murder, rape, aggravated assault, robbery, all dropped sharply, along with burglary, property crime, and theft. And it matters. As president, public safety and crime reduction is a top priority for my administration and for me, and has been for a long time, back when I was chairman of the Judiciary Committee. Since day one, my administration has been working with law enforcement, mayors, and community leaders to do what we know works to keep people and communities safe. As was referenced, during the pandemic, states and cities saw violent crime rising, and their budgets were strained as they faced deep cuts in law enforcement and public safety. But we stepped up, thanks to my American Rescue Plan, which I might note not a single person on the other team voted for. We provided $350 billion that was available to deal with these issues. The fact is that we find ourselves, we could use this money to keep law enforcement on the beat, communities safe from violence. We invested $15 billion to make their communities safer, and we added billions more in grants to help. The Justice Department invested in law enforcement and community violence interruption programs. Because the American Rescue Plan, we have the largest federal investment in fighting crime and preventing violent crime at any time in our history. And that's a big deal. We know being in law enforcement is harder than ever, and we expect you to be everything to everybody. That's why we've invested in more crisis responders who work alongside police officers, as the Chief said, mental health and social workers who respond to nonviolent crimes as well. More investment in recruiting, retaining, and training officers. More investments in violent prevention to get guns off the street. And on top of that, we're hiring more U.S. attorneys, recruiting more U.S. Marshals, and investing more in technology and training to clear the court backlog, solve murders, and to deal with apprehending violent fugitives. And we're also working hard to ensure bonds of trust between officers and the people you all serve. My budget calls for more officers in the street trained in community policing, walking the beat, working hard hand in hand with community leaders and partners and to gain public trust and advance public safety. Chiefs in this room know that when their communities trust the police, we can solve a hell of a lot more crimes a hell of a lot faster. That's why I signed the historic executive order to advance executive and accountable community policing. And it's very effective so far. And I'm going to continue to call on Congress to pass the George Floyd Policing and Justice, the Justice and Policing Act, so we can make police reform the law of the land. We also made historic investments in proven strategies to interrupt and prevent crime and violence in the first place. These programs use trusted messengers, including people who are in the neighborhood, people who have been incarcerated and released now, people who have been through it, people who know what they're talking about. And we have a track record of reducing violent crime as a consequence of that by 30 to 60% where those programs exist. And finally, my plan goes after the scourge of gun violence in America. I've taken more executive actions to stop the flow of illegal guns than any other administration in history. And we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years. And we're going to finish the job. We're going to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines next time around because it has to be done. I formed the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and I thank Vice President Harris for overseeing this important effort. All right, let me close with this. Our plan's working, but we still have much more to do, as everyone at this table knows. And that's why we're here today. My administration is going to choose progress over politics, and communities across the country are safer as a result of that policy. There is no greater responsibility than to ensure the safety of families, children, communities, and our nation. And with that, I want to turn this over to Neera Tandon, my domestic policy advisor, and we'll get this discussion going, okay? Thank you.